The ANC, because the party says its legal team is now looking into leaks from that ongoing National Executive Committee meeting. They include a clip of former President Thabo Mbeki asking the executive to reflect on the state of the governing party and allegations about the way in which it's implementing the contentious step-aside resolution. The ANC says the recordings are being circulated to further a nefarious agenda, and those behind the leaks are guilty of misconduct. Let's speak more about that dramatic ANC-NEC meeting with party veteran Mavuso Msimang, who's joining us by Skype, I believe, tonight from Johannesburg. Good to have your time tonight, sir. So that clip I was mentioning of the former President Thabo Mbeki speaking at the NEC either yesterday or sometime on Friday has now raised this question: do we still have an organization called the ANC? How would you as a veteran answer that?
Thank you very much, Tembegile, and good evening to your viewers. We very much have an ANC. Everything will depend on the resolve of the leadership. About a month or so ago, the NEC took a decision that anybody who has been charged with a serious offense, whether this is corruption or any other, should step aside. But they were given a grace of 30 days in which to do so. That was a decision of the NEC. And all the things that seem to be happening now revolve around seeming to question a decision that was announced to the public, a decision that was accepted by the people at the meeting. So when you get these leaks about these leaks that are coming out, it shows a high level of indiscipline, of course. But clearly the aim is to derail the process of removing people whose presence in the leadership of the ANC causes a serious harm to the image of the organization. I hope no one is saying some people must come down, others not. Anybody who meets the criteria or falls into the category of people who have been charged must step aside. I don't know where the factionalism comes in here. Are we being told that there is a particular faction that is prone to breaching laws and being tried for corruption, or what is what? So there is an ANC. It all depends very much on the resolve of the leadership to execute its decisions.
Is it not time, though, to accept that the formerly glorious liberation movement that many of you joined has in fact become so infested with thieving and self-serving politicians that not a single resolution can save it at this point?
There is no doubt that our organization is unfortunately caught up in this thing of corruption, and it's a phenomenon that's going right through the organization to the leadership. But if a collective does finally, and I think it's finally because we as veterans, for instance, have been asking for a long time that the issue of corruption be tackled. It's been tackled with kid gloves. But when a decision was taken that people who are so affected should step aside, that was the beginning, it should have been, of the Damascus Road to recovering the confidence of the people. Please, let's understand that there will always be these noises. Let us not be deterred about that. You ask me if this is still the glorious organization. There is potential to make it so, but it would be a lie to say it's what it used to be 25 years ago. It has the potential as long as the leadership is not corrupt itself, as long as it does not act partially, but as long as it carries out its decisions and does not jump around simply because somebody has leaked an information that there's a province where there's division or there are other, all of this is meant to subvert a correct decision, namely that people who have been tainted with corruption in the manner defined should step aside.
So does this moment have the potential to break the ANC?
I would hope not. I really do not believe that this will happen. But, if it were to happen, who would break away? People who believe that, corrupt people people accused of corruption should not step aside? Would you rather keep the organization together and stay with people who are in breach and in serious violation of the principles of the image of the organization? I think the time would come. I hope everybody works for renewal. I would love to see it. But you cannot unite with people who are corrupt. You have to take a position of that. You cannot unite with people who selectively choose to say things that suit them at a given point of time. Since we talked about Ace Magashule, there was a time when he said he wasn't governed at all by the resolutions of the ANC. How on earth can resolutions of conference not bind him? Because he said this, he said it. He said he is bound by the Constitution of South Africa. Now, it's convenient now to go to the branches which elected him and consult with them. This is all obfuscation. This is all an attempt to derail, to postpone and finally annul a correct decision that people who are tinged with
Mr. Mswang, let me ask you this then. It's been, 4 years, I believe, of this ANC unity project from the Nazareth conference of 2017. Should the likes of President Cyril Ramaphosa, the SG Ace Magashule, the Deputy President David Mabuza as well, and even the DSG Jesse Duarte, should they not, as a collective, take responsibility for failing to lead that project? And then should we not see a situation, as we're now hearing is being put forward, where the party goes to an emergency elective conference to elect new leaders who perhaps can manage or succeed to unite the ANC?
There is no doubt about the fact that the crisis that we have now arises from a failure of leadership, absolutely, or a failure to resolve contestations there. I think people in the NEC have taken decisions, made resolutions, and told the public that they'd taken certain decisions, and then failed to implement those for fear that this might create disunity and so on. So yes, there is no doubt about it. There has been a real challenge in terms of leadership. But I really do believe that there is leadership in the ANC, if only they could stick to the principles. The only reason people would not want to see this thing happen is if they themselves were implicated. In that case, if in fact you are affected by the thing that people say they require that you step aside, do step aside. That's really where factionalism would be. If the people who are accusing one group of acting as a faction, if only they point out who is not on the list, who should be on the list.
Let me ask you very quickly, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yes or no, perhaps, does the ANC need to lose an election to finally get itself together?
Well, I mean, losing an election in itself is not a recipe for regeneration. But I'm saying ANC must not stick to power for the sake of being in power. You will lose elections if you don't act correctly, because
all right,
people will simply vote out. Yeah.
ANC veteran Mavuso Msimang, good to speak to you tonight, sir. Thank you for your time.